Hello, welcome back to some British guy reading Snowbound Blood. So I don't know if you've heard recently, but the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles got announced, and Herlock Sholmes is real. Can we get something? I don't know. What can we can get something for my boy Herlock Sholmes, who's real. Anyway, we are now on Volume 6 of Feats Culinary and Alchemical with these two lovely gentlemen. Your name is Cecily Eopara, and as of right now, those two six-letter words are the only things in your life that feel real. What felt like purpose and drive has given way to caution and suspicion. No longer are these thoughts resigned solely to those you pursue, and instead you believed you could trust have become shrouded in deceit. What felt like a sliver of progress has brought you back to where you began, a single inky drop in an ocean of obsidian. Oh, sorry. But you have conquered greater depths than this. You've weathered storms more turbulent and faced waves far taller. You're going to grit your teeth and face the unknown head-on. And you're going to do it your way. That means getting down and dirty with some deep-diving detectiving. You double-check the records around the time of the case and looked into the lead you've been given. Although it has put you into a danger more than once, following the leads of that mysterious voice has given you more direction than corporate resources could provide. 2 more trolls to talk to. 2 more pockets of knowledge to make clear. Well, obviously it's more than 2. Okay, so we have Roro Dursel, and okay, the name isn't supposed to show up yet because we haven't done his route, but I mean, it doesn't really matter because it was on the troll call. But it should say Masked Hermit. But yeah, we have Roro Dursel and Cadlis Rancor. So obviously we're going to start off with the chef boy. It's rare for you to feel quite this lost. Not necessarily with physical direction. You can make your way around Stronghold 21 easily enough, but after everything you've now discovered, it's harder to pull yourself through this ordeal. There's an emotional lilt, a feeling of betrayal. But to hell with them then. You're tasked with getting results, and that's something you pride yourself on. If not for corporate, then for people like Orica, like Oceus, who are doing what they can to help you in this fractured world. But to get results, you need more direction than a street corner. Most of your leads so far have followed either corporate directives or chasing up information from other suspects. If all things didn't go exactly as you'd planned with Bitcoin, trying something different at least provided you with something new. Oh, it feels like there's a lump in my throat. It's hurting. I don't know what it is. Ugh. Eventually. Was it worth it? Leave that up to your mental jury to decide. Nevertheless, you're feeling better about things this time. Expanding the scope of the investigation slightly, you looked into large-scale events in the 4-week leading up to the filter being stolen. One event jumped out at you, Corporate's Awards for All Night. In particular, the event was catered for by one Roro Dursel. It is with him that you can hope your next break in the case lies. Recall, Roro Dursel. Known far and wide as a curator of culinary creations, Roro Dursel is often credited as the man single-handedly responsible for the revival of the culinary arts. Okay, just to be clear, I got really confused about what his blood colour was. He's a green blood. I thought it was like a grey. It looked grey, and I was like, oh, is he like a mutant? But no, it's a very weird shade of green. Well, yeah, I really like this route. It's good. While often employed for upscale events that require a large number of meals, it appears that one of his great passions is in teaching others the craft. His influence in the space is all-encompassing, and those who do work in the kitchen swear by Rorian steel for their knives and blades. From personal accounts of those who have worked under him, although he can be tough and strict, Roro inspires those around him to give their all. I just briefly considered giving him a Gordon Ramsay voice, but not a chance. You're personally aware that Roro is in charge of food preparation for the AFA night. There's every chance the perceptive chef may provide a connection or two for you to follow up with. When not cooking during the day, Roro is usually at his own personal culinary school, where he can teach trolls simple meals that they can prepare at home. While digging up information, you notice that the level of class can range from outdoors hunting expeditions and survival preparation to high-class meals free of meats altogether. It's as you've come today in hopes of catching him at the end of his lesson. Haha. In a classroom. Oh, it's his theme. Be quiet. Because in my last video, which was me playing Final Fantasy VI, there was really bad audio imbalance again, because I had it too loud and you couldn't hear me over it, so I'm trying to, you know... Maybe I should test it beforehand, like, you know what I mean. You had to subtly open the door, but the bell tolls for thee. A small ringing chime, hung above the door, marks your entrance and relays your presence to those inside. Thankfully, it seems as though the class is close to finishing, right on schedule. Most of the budding chefs quickly turn back to tidying up their equipment. You watch as the cleaning gel pours viscously out of the taps, before being applied to all manner of knives and ladles, pots and pans, essentially everything in the kitchen sink. You sidle across the stand at the back, making a motion to press down your coat in a terrifically nonchalant way. You're a picture of precision as always. As you scan the room, it becomes quite clear to you that the sink space is holding two cooking enthusiasts. The sense of delicious creations likely float towards you. Many spices mix in your mind, but one comes through clear. Honey, you feel that heart grab an extra beat or two. Aww. She would have loved to do something like this. Me when my wife is dead. Sorry. People begin to flow out the door behind you, bell chiming each departure. Each pair carries a delicious-looking honey spice cake with them. Your swimming scan, cut short by those sweet smells, continues its path along the scene to abruptly stop at the rather familiar pair of pudding cooks. Oh no. You really don't want to talk to this guy again unless absolutely necessary, except he's already coming your way and it's clear both he and his cooking partner have spotted you. There's no backing out of this now. Hello! So we meet again! How lovely it is to see you, Cecily! I don't remember his voice, but oh well. You don't feel you share the same enthusiasm, but you suppose when a move is made, one must respond in turn. I must say, this is quite the surprise. I didn't think you ever left that dome. Cecily, please, I already told you that I have a number of non-currency related hobbies. Like tennis. One of which is making an absolutely delicious wildebeest stew. You always take a step back as Bitcon begins to visibly blush. You're not usually one to meddle in people's personal affairs, much less this particular troll's. Oh, yeah, they're mates for it, Cecily. It certainly helps you paint a more complete picture of the pair, much as it confuses you. Anyway, we must be off, Cecily. Loops don't pop out of trees, you know. Speaking of which, I've been thinking of a couple more currencies. What do you think of blade bits? No? How about currency? I'm sure they'll be great successes as always, my little star. They changed that last word. Okay, so... I remember they edited a few things in this route. I don't remember what, but it seems that's one of them. I mean, technically, Bitcon, if Bitcon was a human, he'd be Mexican-Japanese. So calling him a rat is kind of racist. So don't do that from now on. Even though you shouldn't have done it in the first place, so, you know. Gazi and Dari playfully nudge Bitcon at that remark. He waves back at you and the two depart. You're not exactly sure what you feel at the moment, but thankfully for the place now emptying, you don't have to dwell on it for too long. You approach the front of the cooking class and perform the tried and tested throat clear to the chef in charge. Oh god, the burp's coming. Gah! Maybe that was too much. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to startle you. What voice do I give Roro? I'm trying to think of the one I did when me and Oscar read it. I don't remember. It takes a moment for the chef's hair to deflate and his pupils to return to normal. His hand is clearly tensed on the knife so quickly swung your way. If you hadn't taken a short step back, it could have clipped your collar. You give him a chance to catch his breath. Okay, so Roro's quirk, he replaces eyes with what even are they? Slashes? I forgot what they were called. Wow. What is wrong with me? It's alright. I do apologise, but class is finished for the day. I'm not here for the class, Mr. Dursel. Cecily Iopara, Corporate Regulator. I was wondering if you remember anything about the recent Awards for All event, put on by Corporate. Anything that might have been out of the ordinary. From the records, I'm aware you were catering that night. The chef returns to slowly cleaning his own knife, cloth partially coated in that same gel fluid. You notice his averted gaze, keenly focused on motions up and down the well-maintained blade. Pardon me. It feels familiar, the adept care one shows to one's tools, be they sword or cleaver. Oh jeez. Answering unnecessary questions really doesn't rate high on my list of most enjoyable activities, Regulator Iopara. If that's all you would come here for, I really would like to head home. I'd prefer not to keep Loren waiting. He makes a move forward as if to sidestep you, but you quickly match his steps. You exhale a sigh, prepare to up the ante and advance yet another piece forward on the board. This is no trivial catch-up on overboiled monster, Roro. Corpus had a vile relic stolen, and I believe this party was in close enough proximity that it might hold some clues to the crime. The burglary, as it were. Aurora raises an eyebrow in response to that. Murder burglary? I'm trying it out. Wordology notwithstanding, my point of contention was not aimed at his relevance to you. My confusion is why you would need to ask me about it in the first place. You were there. I like that sprite. That sprite's cool. Oh, that's right. You were there. Recall the party. Oh, here we go. See, I already know where this is going just based on here. Because if you recognise who's standing next to Cecily there, I think you'll know. Every sweep, to help boost the productivity of corporate, Sistro thinks up an individual award for each member of the company. These are all presented at the prestigious Awards for All Gala evening. An event... Was it event or event? I don't know. An event you are unfortunately obliged to attend. Your wall of trophies from various AFA nights is almost filled, and you feel like tonight's award for exceptional regulatoring in the field of detectiveship will squeeze its capacity to full. You sometimes joke that it means she'll have to retire soon, but really you should just use a different wall. But it's hard for you to keep focus. You stand wedged against the far corner of the room, picking up the odd scrap of conversation in between beats of the hot jazz. You glad for a moment that the band at this corporate shindig isn't singing. You can't focus when they're singing. Oh god, me and you both, Cecily. Oh, I literally relate to so many of Cecily's little quirks so much. I just don't think the genre is lucrative enough to make a whole series. So I told him, get this, we don't manufacture enough plastics in 10 sweeps for that to be worth it. And I just worry about the integrity of the route data. How frightfully morose, Ceci. Hello? Oh, Yeshin slinked up to you. So much for focusing. Late as always to this party where she's serving as your +1, a decision you'd regret if not for the cut of the cocktail dress she's wearing. Keep it in your pants, Cecily. I know how you feel, but you must resist. She throws a hand across your back and leans in, making a show of conspiratorially surveying the attendees at the party, all dressed to the nines. She scoffs and then whispers in your ear. Methinks it's a little too easy to find you at these gatherings, my good bitch. Just looketh in the corners for all the sullenest ones. LOL. Oh my, I hate her quirk so fucking much, and I love it at the same time. Her frown is clearly exaggerated. You roll your eyes as you follow as she leads you to the dance floor. You try to pick up a few more snippets of that conversation about the route dates, but... Oh, look at this sprite. The way she walks makes a thumping upright bass line out of your heart, like a savannah bee sloping, prideful, showy. She's all show, this woman, and you've been buying front row tickets like the complete sucker you are for 7 sweeps now. You waltz with her, and the moment's almost beautiful until she opens her godly lipstick mouth to talk. Stay silent, woman. That's thy problem, girl. Thou would always crash in parties, in drug dens, bandit hideouts. You go to fun more often than anyone else on this blasted planet, Earth. And if thou wert never having any of the fun for yourself. You give her a spin and tell you were having significantly more fun until a trollop accosted you for a dance. Do not try to embarrass me in front of my co-workers, you say dryly as you continue the steps of the beat. Oh, don't pretend you don't like having a bit of ye old arm candy to show off to the suits. And anyway, I don't in the least thou owe me for always bailing you out when your first choice of date declines. You dip her dramatically. She rather catastrophically misses the threat in it, instead continuing an ill-advised conversational course. Because no matter how I act, it doth be less embarrassing than showing up at the gala with your little pale whore. Whoop! The oop is from you dropping her straight from the dip, back first onto the dance floor. The chat around the room stops. Whoops. You take long strides off the floor and past the throng staring at you. All the while, Yeshin's cracking up laughing on the ground. Try not to notice that your face burns. This is Kisbecitude at its finest, and I probably butchered that, but whatever. You swing open the double doors to the balcony where a couple trolls are smoking in the cold night air. They see how pissed you are and put out their sticks, charred sugar smell following their quick retreat inside. You stew for a few minutes, then you hear a sing-songy voice tauntingly behind you. See, now you're having fun. I know if you need a fight. Oh, Like an animal, she pounces on you, hand to your throat, and you kiss greedily in the moonlight. You didn't get any further useful information from that party. What? We all have our vices. Oh, Cecily. Ugh. You people should be ashamed. Ugh. This investigation keeps bringing up recollections you wish you could forget. Nevertheless, you've been standing here for a good few words and haven't really given Roro an appropriate response. He seems to have returned to wiping down his knife in the absence of a better option, while you delved into your subconscious for a moment. You're right, I mean, I was there, but for lack of a better word, I was somewhat preoccupied. You see Roro glance momentarily at the clock on the wall before he lets out an exhausted sigh. If we keep this quick, I suppose I could help sharpen your memories. I could at least attend to the end-of-night tasks if you have another moment like that. Where should we start, then? You're pretty sure there's 3 easy talking points to cover. The question is, which to indulge first? The evening schedule. Something that could help your recollection would be the actual rundown of the night's events. You're swept out and away for the festivities for a while. There are parts of the night I can remember, but I'd appreciate a reminder of the full events programme. Come on, sister, you got perfect recall. You don't need this. All things considered, it was a standard 4-course gala night event. We provided light refreshments at the start of the evening upon arrival, mostly small bite-sized appetizers. After an introduction from Sestra and Hamifi, we served entree meals, mixed ground plant soup with light grain loaf, if I recall. How much familiar to you? Most of this part of the night you were at your table, waiting, staring idly at the seat beside you for that loathsome +1 to arrive. Shaking your food around and keeping a careful ear open. Pardon me, I've not eaten yet. I'll probably eat after this route and then go on to our little hermit. Most conversations were trivial in nature, about current corporate happenings and goings-on. You quickly rifle through those thoughts, but dismiss them as culpable leads. After entrees were the first series of major awards for the night. I was certainly thankful to be in the first award bracket, not least of all how the rest of the evening transpired. Roro seems to continue along his meal plan, unfazed by your personal musing, glancing away from your face for a moment. He clears his throat. He poses a small token of acknowledgement to your statement. The first segment of awards closed with a live performance by Ramona Raquel and her Berry Big Band. You remember something from a few volumes ago that lodged itself into your subconscious during a tar drink haze. It bubbles to the surface of your mind like the sprinklings of ticket stubs, bringing with it the unfortunate recollection of a certain pitcher's texts. Oh, I remember. You mentally pop that particular thought for the moment. Ramona Raquel, if I recall correctly, has also personally lost something in the recent weeks, a necklace of some description. There's maybe a chance there's a connection there. Roro raises an eyebrow before slowly shaking his head. That case was closed rather quickly, Regulator. One of the band members had forgotten they placed it in their case for safekeeping. Drat, you feel a pang of disappointment, having been denied a tantalizingly simpler side case. On long investigations like these, you can really miss the feeling of closure. There's an itch under your skin to get down to pursuing adversaries. Finding tangible clues that lead you from one location to the next, providing evidence to systems of law and order, even the rush of exclaiming your objections and reputations. You miss it all. Casework is important, you know this more than anyone, but these works are made for regulating. Right, please though, continue. The mains were next, I believe. That's correct, yes. We always take the most pride in our main courses. I think this moment with the culinary proceedings matters more than any other. Oh, ice cream. You get to make a statement at this point of the night, and for me, I believe the statement should be as personal to the guest as possible. A personal cuisine statement? Come to think of it, you do recall looking around and seeing a wide diversity of meals on offer at the table you were seated at for the first half of the evening. We tried to accommodate for all of our guests. Court were able to survey some extra information for us that evening, so we could truly take our ideas and help them bloom. Ross seems to have a real sparkle in his eyes. The way his face is illuminating with each sentence's increasing passion really makes it clear to see his dedication he has to his craft. Think back to the warm smells of the evening, the way the food tasted, and even the way it felt to eat. It was clear that everything you supplied to corporate, thorough as you usually are, was brought back to you 12-fold with a culinary creation that felt matched to you on an individual level. If I may be so bold, Roro, that night I experienced a truly remarkable dish. Your care and attention to my personal palate did not go unnoticed. That's often a length you don't see many in the food industry striving for. There is a moment where you see a tinge of blush mixed in with a very humble pride Roro Dursel exudes. He finds himself having to clear his throat for a very different reason this time. Thank you, Regulator. That really does mean a great deal to me. Anyway, the mains were part of a larger intermission. Guests were given an opportunity to mingle. The moment when the tiger pounced. The moment when the two of you became lost in your own world. After a period of time, Cetro returned to the stage for the second set of awards. We followed with a surging of multi-staged sugar cake in the colours of the Hema Spectrum, all the colours of the Hema Spectrum, as the final dessert. Paired with a series of warm cocoa-based drinks, of course. Himithi gave what I was led to believe was a traditionally brief speech. A final performance of the night was closed. Roro gives a brief sigh, exhausted. Take a moment to try and push away the fog of red and blue from your mind to grasp onto something from the end of the evening, but you seem you can do little to shake it. Thank you for that, Roro. If I may ask a follow-up question, you've detailed a certainly tight schedule and plan. Did anything seem out of place on the night? Anything not run smoothly? Or seems to think for a moment, a scowl suddenly forming on his face. Sometimes there are certain people in a team I pick who think it is wise to test my limits. There are always those who think the kitchen is a place for jokes and japes. He slams his knife down into the cutting board, and for the first time he's noticed a few additional stab markings in the wood from previous altercations, where the wood has clearly been split. But I will never allow it! Otherwise, things seem to run smoothly. I can't speak for the walls themselves, obviously. That's some quick composure. You think you've gleaned pretty much all you can from this line of interrogation. I actually do that exact same thing sometimes. Obviously, ironically. Kitchen room conversations. If there's one thing you know is true of a big event like this, it's the level of conversation on offer. Pardon me. While you managed to catch only snippets of conversations through the headache of auditory overload, there were many guests in attendance and even more ensuring the night ran smoothly. Pardon me. Ugh. I could taste something, I don't know what it is, but I could definitely taste something. Maybe it was the chicken I had at college, I don't know. Including, of course, Roro. I don't know how I'm saying it. As head chef for the night, I would assume that you would hear many things, but from your staff and around the kitchens, especially when people might not think anyone is listening. Do you recall overhearing anything that might be important to divulge from the night? It seems that the chef is more interested in the gleam of his knife, the gleam of light his knife makes as he twists it in his hands. In terms of my own crew, I try to run a tight ship. No nonsense conversation. We prepare the ingredients, we make the meals, we serve them. And you're right, as head chef, it is my role to oversee everything that occurs around our kitchen space. Both inside and out, I assume. You can see him grip the handle a little tighter as he continues to avoid your gaze. Yes, that's correct. This feels like pulling teeth, and you'd rather stay away from morgues after your experience with Oceus. You figure now is the time to bring your boot down, hard. And if this is the case, Roro, did you or did you not hear something that night? That's quite enough! His knife lodges itself in the board beneath him. The silence that follows could be cut by the very same blade. It hangs in the air like a particularly thick, viscous sauce. I don't know why Cecily just shouted then, that was a bit uncalled for. His hair seems to deflate again after a moment, and with a soft tug or two he removes the knife from its wooden scar. It is possible I overheard a conversation that night. I know I didn't bring it up at the time. I'm not always particularly fond of these sorts of interactions. For the same reason I tend to keep my ears open, I also try to avoid loud, yelling figures of authority. You can never know what someone else is thinking. What they say behind closed doors. Oh yes, this is I believe his personality fixation, I think. Alright, so all green buds have like a certain personality fixation on something. Like maybe something they strive for. And I'm pretty sure Roro's is like a fixation on the unknown, if I recall correctly. It's kind of like Albion's strive for perfection, I think, yeah. I don't know what Sirage's is, though. I don't think we know that yet. It's been a while since you were trained for this kind of work. Through your basics, you learn all the manner of blood traits to keep an eye out for. Strong survival abilities, purple-blooded psyops. But the fixations of the Verdant cast are much less documented. Oh wow, it even just went straight into it. Green bloods will often focus on an individual personality trait, be it striving for perfection, obsession with purity, materialistic hunger, or perhaps a convergence of one's self-loathing. Wow, I literally just said it before I even brought it up. Yeah, the purity one might be one we want to, keep in mind later. I'm trying to think of any other green bloods. There's not that many, if I recall. There's Albion from Vastera, obviously. There's obviously Siraj. There's our strange caller, who has a green, and obviously there's Roro. Who else is there? Is there any... no? I think that's it. I don't know who the self-loathing is in reference to. Yeah. In this cast, it seems you're dealing with a deeply rooted paranoia. Oh, basically that. Oh, paranoid chef, who would have thought? You've never been one much careful about what others think of you, beyond your employers, and even they are now dubiously placed on that list. One thing you know for certain is that isolating Roro now would bring you no closer to finding the truth behind this case. That, at least, keeps you from moving in the face of terrible headaches, exploding traps, and far too many offers of tea. I understand that it can be hard to know who to trust. Please forgive my outburst. I'm sure you can understand the sort of pressure I'm under. There's a saying in my line of work: if you cannot handle the heat, you'll never boil. So here's my whistling kettle tune regulator. There was a conversation I overheard about route data being sold to someone present at the party. This is very important, by the way. I could only catch the tail end of it, but it seemed to refer to corporate organised transfer operation. One of the brief snippets you could recall from the night tugs at the front of your mind. Someone's discussing the integrity of route data. It's a tentative link, but it doesn't take a gigantic leap to see that this might tie into the knowledge of the tundra-traversing truckload of goods, including the filter. Do you recall anything about the people discussing this? Anything at all? Unfortunately, no. As I went to leave with some entree dishes, I looked around, but the crowd was already in full mingle mode, and I was not particularly fond of traversing so many individuals. The corner and I were becoming quite acquainted, yes. That's a bit I can find out then. You have my thanks. It's not a lot, you suppose, but barring an uninvited guest, you may have a particularly robust suspect list. You may have a particularly robust suspects list once more. And there's every chance other members of corporate present could also have heard this discussion. All the more reason to check out some of the people you and Mashiro were discussing. Invited guests. If something transpired at the awards night, it potentially places anyone present as a suspect, or they may simply have witnessed other events that neither Roro nor yourself can recall. Any one of them could be a follow-up lead. This event is usually one of the biggest of the sweep. If I recall, there were many prominent members of corporate, as well as celebrities and big names too. The guest list I received was initially daunting. Certainly I'm no stranger to upscale dining, but this was a lot of fucking people to feed. Anyone there could have been privy to secret conversation and dealings. One of the best ways to hide a secret can often be in plain, albeit crowded, sight. I know I wasn't entirely present for the later half, but there are some colourful characters that come to mind. Colourful describes turning Kaikai to a T. They were definitely invited and exceptionally difficult to cater for. Probably, I don't know, something that could potentially burn all of their insides. Brendan Fraser was getting an award for his acting too. Yes, finely sliced ham beef strips, lightly honeyed with a code red juice. I'm sorry? His main meal. We intently called it The Return of the Mummy. You like to give props to his creativity. You'd rather likely just call it a crunchy mess. Sounds charming, I suppose. I'm getting another vague recollection, if only because I'm sure it was the longest award name of the night. Todd Howard. Why there's an award for Game of the Sweep that is forced to include his gaudy game title in it is beyond me. Roro's time seemed to light up a little, though you have to admit the foremost video game designer of Repton doesn't usually turn people's heads. He just sort of exists. Appears when you don't call him, frustrates you to no end, and yet you can't help but feel entirely enamoured by some of his efforts. Oh, I actually find Skyrim CD for the Intellivision Amico, including the new virtual reality DLC, quite charming. The way they've rendered some of those delicious craftable meals really makes you feel like my work is having an impact, you know? It's really up to the 400th installment already. Feels like just yesterday we were playing Oblivion for the first time, I know. You'll have to forgive me for not sharing in your recollection. I definitely tried to make an impression with his main meal. Maybe someday he might include it in one of the games for real. Imagine people all over the world being able to bring their true culinary art to their home. As much as it's nice to get a smile from the slightly agitated chef, you really want to steer the conversation away from video games. You're not about to be sucked back in by Todd's lies. Moving on, we should get back to some of the more internal awards, maybe. Those are closer ties to corporate. You're right, my apologies. His face seems to slowly return to the furrowed brow of someone deep in thought. You recall some of the corporate trolls at your table, the distant conversations of faces without clear names. Being in the dregs of corporate as long as you have, there are so many people who are familiar in features you never really got to know. I do recall a couple of other attendees from their interactions with my staff. Barrett was particularly specific about his cocoa. He had me do a stupid song and dance number before I considered it acceptable for my consumption, and I don't mean figuratively. Barrett Sabine, you believe? One of the junior designers for corporate. Oh, we're going to be seeing him later, trust me. And boy am I looking forward to his route. It's not the first time you've heard his name, and certainly not the first time you've heard someone complaining about his antics. And I believe Lydian was receiving an award for related engineering or something to that effect. He was there with someone too. They were both exceedingly excited about the broth grain noodle soup. They even asked for the recipe. Roar seems very interested in the blade of his knife, his eyes attempting to bore holes through the steel. It's just ramen. Lydian certainly rings a bell. You can feel the information manifesting in your mind, a series of numbered points, begging to be joined to form some semblance of a picture. Maybe a purbeast? Never mind, that's something you can catch up on later. You feel it would be good to break Roro out of his subconscious spaghetti suffering, though. There's at least one attendee I can vouch for, regrettably. Yeshin Micah's Mises. A mind mist that can't be dismissed. Careful, any more assonance, you'll be diced up for a Slitherby stew. You run a hand through your hair, exhaling perhaps your longest breath yet. Honestly, just throw me in. I'm meant to be on top of this shit, but every time she all of it appears, it's addictive. She's addictive. The chef responds with a solemn nod, and you can see an all too familiar flame in his eyes. When you find that person that gets under your skin like no one else, you so often crave seconds. Just like his slimy, greasy, done-in-minutes food. That's what they focus on doing it quick. That's right. Roro's Kismesis. So get this. Roro is like a professional chef, and his Kismesis is a fucking fast food worker. It's perfect. You quickly respond to get the conversation back on track. Maybe at least one path in this triad will be resolved without resorting to knife-on-wood violence. I'd rather not let her stake a claim in my mind much further this conversation. She was there. I'm sure I could always chase up a full guest list if I got stuck. We need to talk about your end. Do you feel your team was trustworthy? Roro treats his finger on the hilt of his knife, and you can almost feel the way his teeth grit. I always handpicked my team, Regulator. They were of the best quality. I kept eyes on them from out. I keep fucking up. I'm reading too quick again. I kept eyes on them throughout most of the night, and can assure you the kitchen was a well-oiled, mechanized unit. Sometimes they pushed my buttons, but I know the truth came out in the meals they crafted. Well, that settles that. You decide not to press the easily startled chef with the large kitchen knife. Lots to follow up on, you think. Lots to think about, you follow up. Do you dare allow yourself a brief moment of positivity? It's early days on these new leads, but they seem to open up a whole tree's worth of branching opportunities, and hopefully a few of those branches will bear fruit. You have a clearer direction and some of the ideas for who to turn to next, some characters to examine, and the clarification of a conversation that seems almost too good to be true. You extend a hand, thanking Roro for clearing some of the pitch-inducing fog of the night. He hesitates for a moment before returning the gesture. After you pull your hand back, the corollary creator pauses for a moment, eyes drifting to check the time once more. Regulator, if I may now ask you for a moment of your time, please wait here. A bold request, but one you feel obliged to accept. After all, it seems only fair. You wave him away, leaving him to his devices. Turning back to face the back of the wall space, you call out YVS with your voice. You begin to make a note of the important facts, details, and new possible suspects. A report still needs to be filed, a record needs to be kept, if not for Hermit or your sister anymore, then for the future, for those who need to see it, for those who deserve the truth. One particular file comes into view, hers. You find yourself pausing, staring at the cover of the file as if it would open itself and force you to peruse its contents. For you can choose to delve into the details of your pitch affections information, or it returns and saves you from decision. Go ahead, I figured you might enjoy it. He pushes forward a small box wrapped in an olive fabric sheet. While it's no violin case, you're a little more hesitant than usual to accept foreign strange gifts. Even the person they're from is a somewhat more credible individual than mystery voice behind a screen. And this is... dinner, I suggest. Keep up that appetite for justice, Regulator Opara. I think we may all be counting on you for this one. Fabric comes away smoothly at the tug of a small knot made in the corner. The box inside is surprisingly teal, and you find a grin spreading across your face, that's joined by the slight cheerful laugh of a certain culinarian. I love this. This is so wholesome. Placing it down on the cooking benches, you examine the box's contents. Each small component of the box is filled with those same portioned meals from your main course meal, prepared with the same tender care to the palate as it had been on the awards night. You take a moment to breathe in a deep whiff of the delicious spice before reboxing and wrapping the food container. You didn't have to do this, Roro, but thank you. I look forward to enjoying it. It's my pleasure, really. And please remember, Regulator, a washpot should stay out the kitchen. Keep yourself safe out there. The soft chime of the bell signals your leave from the humble cooking school. Though class may be over, you've got a hell of a lot of extracurricular work to catch up on. Time to hit the books. Haha. Oh, that was a great round. I love that. It's so wholesome. Aurora's great. But yeah. Anyway, obviously, I'm not as tired as I usually am, But that was a pretty short volume. Yeah, I will be taking a little break now, so be right back. Okay, I'm back. It's gone for like an hour. I cooked myself some food, and it was literally the worst shit I've ever had. It was this weird Mediterranean fish, and it didn't even cook properly. I had it in for like 40 minutes on the top shelf, and I don't know, the middle was fucking cold. What a waste. Anyway, at least I had chips. We're getting to the meat of this volume, which is... Oh no, the meat was Roro. I don't know what Catalyst is. Yeah, Catalyst Rancor. I'm back here again. Excuse me, I just had one of my last Easter eggs, so I'm having it. You know, I'll probably make myself a bacon butty after. Against your better judgment, you are choosing to follow the directives of a voice with no name. Now, 3 days after having experienced this barren boneyard for the first time, you've returned for an appointment. Though you've been interrogated by recordings and the falling instrument cases, had things literally blown up in your face, and almost killed a man over a tip off this mysterious entity, you find yourself again carrying out his requests. Some might think you foolish, but you know, and perhaps find it painful to admit, that each step has also brought you more information than you'd have had gleaned out otherwise. Every trail left leaves clues. Every piece you move changes the lay of the board. You are here for the long game, and you're betting that eventually there will be a slip-up. For now, you bid a free farewell to your bike, again parked neatly as far into the boneyard as it could go. Your appointment was with a Hermit, but you were quick to make the connections over the last few days. Hermit is one of the dark web aliases you noted down while following Bitcon's tracks, an alias, much like the mask, can obfuscate and hide the truth. Your job has always been to search out obfuscations, though, so you step once more into the graveyard, sliding down some weak soil into the pit below. Your rendezvous is scheduled to occur soon. You make your way to its location, the massive skull of Baragonith. A horned skull like this would have belonged to one of the breeds of skull titans that roam the landscape. You find the skull, and like so much of this barren planet, it is deteriorating, broken, and falling apart. Certainly quite a landmark. You take a moment to scan the area. The chaotic mess of bones strewn about the field make the place rife with hiding spots. Some parasites, freshly hatched, skitter past in the distance. Being back here again fills you with a sense of circularity, if one could be so geometrically inclined. There's a feeling of chasing your tail this case, and you're not particularly pleased about it. Twice now you've come to this very area, and you honestly feel that there is 2 times too many. An unbonded looser skitters through one of the eye holes out of the other. You hear the soft grit of shoe against the dirt and whirl around. Uh-oh. A figure approaches, shadowed by the darkness. It's hard to make them out in the moon's light, and your hand jumps to the hilt of your blade, gripping it carefully. Hello. I like this theme. The figure approaches, hunching their body down, and you can finally see them clearly. You're pretty sure this is who you're after. Okay, so the voice I do for him is kind of similar to the one I do for Green Guy, but I'm not actually sure. I think that voice might suit him better, as in, Hermit. There's no need for that now, is there? We have an appointment, Regulator. You decide to deny that de-escalation and keep your hand on your sword. The light glow from the mask he wears seems to stare through you, and you can't see as much of anything beneath. Like an alias, a mask can hide many things. Now, why would a chief regulator have a face-to-face appointment with me? Or have perhaps face-to-mask is more appropriate? Lol. I think you'll find that's unimportant. I'm here, at least. Goodness, so defensive. I guess it can't be helped dealing with someone like you. Someone like you? You can't help but feel like you're being oddly sized up yourself. There's no obvious signs of a weapon being concealed in that triangular cloak, but the absence of visible arms of either sort keeps you tense. I received a tip that you may have relevant information pertaining to my current case. A vital resource has been stolen and I intend to chase down the culprit. Okay, this one might be a bit loud. Noxious did brief me, yes. Funny fellow. No wonder you seem so drained of energy. So, there's a name drop. Oh, alias drop at least. Well now, that's something new. Noxious was another online name you came across in your search. Although it's likely that this mysterious entity knows how to cover their tracks, you definitely file this under X for extremely relevant. But for you to reveal yourself here, on my turf? Lol. You must be desperate. That gets a grit of your teeth. Just like there is a seed of truth in it, you You wouldn't be here if so many of the paths you'd already taken had resolved more favourably. While you managed to add several trolls to a strange roster of familiarity, actual advances towards a conclusion to this burglary deal have been few and far between. You crave progress, even if it means stepping foot into treacherous territory. You regret the thought almost immediately as more sounds make themselves heard. It's clear where they are coming from. A small group, similar to those trolls you faced 3 days prior, are shuffling at a pace only they could find quick. Your hand is about to tuck Proserpina from your hip and show them a thing or two, but before you can, you notice motion from the hunched individual. Oh. In one swift motion, Hermit pulls a spherical vial of something from his cloak, flinging it to the oncoming crowd. It explodes on contact with the rough ground, knocking about half of the surprisingly large group back with enough force to cause head trauma if your recent experience is anything to go by. That's not even the real kicker. The liquid inside seems to be partially corrosive. It's clear that the skin of some of the creatures has begun to burn away. A few more approach and you take the chance to repair the motion. Get down! Oh. You swing wildly as the masked individual bobs down, cleanly decapitating the head off one of the approaching hordes. Pivoting around his now even more hunched body, you follow it up with a well-placed kick. Although you don't necessarily gut the creatures like a certain doctor, they are sent back, crashing into the side of the skull. Hermit dusts himself off, extending back to half-hunched height. Fancy footwork there. I must admit, you have some truly potent brews yourself. Oh, that old thing? That's nothing. You couldn't even handle my strongest potions, Regulator. I forgot. Hermit, I'm on my way to battle, and I require your strongest potions. A few parasites exit the head, now with no body of its own. Hermit squishes one with his boot before sighing. You see him wipe his feet on the dirt, scratching off the sticky resin. Withdrawing a cleaning cloth of your own, you begin to take care of your sword. The brown blood comes off easily enough. Another link in a cyclical chain. It takes you back to the case you finished before this one. Such close was tantalizing, it feels so out of reach at the moment. A stomp of feet breaks you out of your introspection. Pardon me. As much as I enjoy messing with the corpses, out here isn't the best place to chat. Why don't we go to the bunker, have a nice cold OJ and wait for all this to blow over? Wait for this all to blow over. Sees him motioning you around the side of the skeleton. With your blade now out, you feel adequately equipped to deal with any sort of double crossing, and cautiously follow the masked man toward a large bone of these skeletal remains. With a quick shove, it becomes clear that it was covering a trapdoor, hastily assembled in the ground. I hope you'll protect this secret for me. It's in your nature, no? After you, Regulator. The phrasing strikes you as odd. Usually you're the type to search out and expose things which are hidden. Those of ill repute rarely air their dirty deeds in public. I can't make any promises. You give the surroundings one last look and send Hermit a judging glare before stepping down. Oh. Beneath the raised trapdoor is a descending staircase, the bottom of which you can't see, yet another point of familiarity. Not too long ago, a different sketchy man of the Shadow Realm led you down a staircase awfully similar to this one. In fact, if you didn't know about it, you would say it looks positively identical. I mean, if you do put Catalyst and Bitcon together, you get Tagora. You hear the rumble behind you with the trapdoor being shut, and you can only assume there is some complicated mechanism set to reset the bone from this side. Sorry, so build up in my nose then. The thought doesn't dwell long enough in your mind. With the outside moon's light covered, the glow from the bottom of the stairs makes itself known. Soon you reach it, exiting into a rather jam-packed basement. Ooh. Ah, bunker, sweet bunker. Well, since you're here, no sense keeping up appearances. You are surprised he's dropping his guard so quickly. Time to see who this hermit really is. He removes his mask. You have no idea who this is. It's just like the scene with Lex in Flash's body. It shouldn't really be surprising though. This world is partially full of so many trolls, and you've only had the fortune of coming across those in corporate, those who would draw corporate's ire, and a few others who which you've become otherwise entangled. And while you may be meeting more and more of them by the day, it still doesn't mean you've yet exhausted this planet's declining population. As you begin to return your blade to the hilt, Hermit reaches for another orange vial from what you can only hope is an organised collection of elixirs. He takes a swig of it before holding it towards you. Care for some? You politely decline, his tactic to try and not to let the repulsion settling in your stomach bore through into your face, like the acid you sincerely hope is not in that vial. He shrugs and downs the rest of the bottle himself before pocketing the empty bottle underneath his cloak. More for me, then. Ha ha ha. The monotone way he laughs sends a shudder down your spine. It would probably be best to get on with things. If you don't mind, Hermit, I'd appreciate some answers. Of course. Ask away. I'm getting straight into it. Oh, just so you know, like, really fizzy drinks are kind of, like, dangerous for trolls to drink. Like, his orange juice, which you just drank, probably has some acidic qualities. And, like, let's say if you know, if a troll ate a lemon, it would corrode their insides. I mean, obviously that's nothing for turning Kai to handle, but, you know. The bandaged arms. I only briefly glimpsed of them while you were in motion, but your arms seem rather worse for wear. Would you mind if I take a closer look? Cecily, are you asking me to retrieve arms from chest? Yes, I'm asking you to retrieve your arms from your chest. He starts to wiggle his arms out from under the cloak, clearly taking his time to tease you with it. First you reveal his hands, followed by the rest of the arms. He lets out a scoff about halfway through the forearms exit. And all the while, Hermit's face is plastered with the most shit-eating grin imaginable. You think he could give someone the Reptonian Chucklebunkers a run for their money? Well, here they are. The bandages run much further up his arms than you initially thought. It might even run up beneath his undershirt. It's hard to tell. Pardon me. That's certainly some first aid. These bandages go all the way. It's best this way. It hides the pain. As much as you'd like to push further on that point, something else grabs your attention. There's a feeling in the back of your head, almost like a headache spreading across your mind. You place a hand to your head for a moment, groaning in pain. It almost feels like something is trying to pull at your thoughts, tugging them a certain way. This doesn't feel right. You need to focus. You remember back to Mashiri in her meditative session. There is a moment of emptiness in your thoughts. The soft tug is gone. Shaking your head, you feel the last cobwebs of confusion brush off your mind. Hermit seems to be staring much more intently than you remember a moment ago. Oh, I've got nothing to worry about, it seems. Except perhaps your next question. Sure, that sounds alright, you guess. Time for another question, then. I'm noting a theme here. Lots of potions, vials, and liquids of all assortments. Certainly the room seems full of them and not much else. There are many different colours on display here, and you're hoping that this isn't a repeat of a certain navy-blooded scientist laboratory. I am a seller of all manner of chemical concoctions. Acids, potions, curatives, poisons. You need it? I can make it. And I assume most of the people on Dark Web search you out for this reason. It's a living, yes. Dare I ask how you come to be in possession of so many different creations? They are all failures. Do people buy failures? Failure is a relative term. I'm sure you failed quite a bit yourself. Each one of these chemical creations is the result of carefully followed steps, and either they result in what I am trying to make, or they don't. And if they don't, I found out what they do, and then I sell them. Judging by the volume of vials, Hermit has seen a lot of failure. You feel a strange sense of camaraderie, though. This whole case so far has seen you mostly at dead ends, and though some of the leads you've taken haven't led to immediate success, each one brought new information and understanding. Oh yeah, Hermit is one of my favourite characters from this. I keep kind of forgetting about him, to be honest. I do like him a lot. You feel you understand what he's saying. So then, what are you after? Oh, now that is truly the question. It is elusive, and only talked in hushed whispers between those mad enough to pursue it. The water of life, aqua vitae. It's not what you would call common knowledge, but someone of your profession comes across enough laboratory settings and strange individuals who have at least heard the term once or twice. I think I've heard it wasn't it used in Romeo and Juliet, that term? I think. I don't know. I don't remember. Most dismiss this practice. It seems bordering on fanatical fancy, but after what you've come to know from this investigation, and the way something like the lifeblood of the Vivifier could fit into those practices, Hermit instantly rises a few notches on the skepticism meter. In your more recent memory lingers the pursuit of a demoted man, desperately searching for a cure through careful experimentation, the shared hope of redeeming this fractured world. In contrast, the haphazard and often self-destructive nature of those who pursue aqua vitae seems impossible to contain. What you've heard about the water of life is more than misguided optimism. The liquid is said to wash rivers clean, to bring those who are suffering back to reality once more. The thought of someone willingly interacting with the water at all almost has you revisiting an earlier meal. Almost. You're a professional after all. Nevertheless, the parallels to this missing filter are too large to ignore. One could naturally assume it would be a vital component of such a creation. I'm actually starting to see a similarity in them than one of my OCs, who's also an alchemist of sorts, I guess. Maybe. Well, she's definitely nothing like Cadlis. Sorry, I'm ranting again. Someone searching for such an elixir would need some serious powerful items, I assume. Like a stolen filter of import. Lol. I know about your missing goods regulator. But rest assured, I have no connection to the theft. If I had, do you think I would be here in front of you? Ha ha ha. I don't know if I'm doing his voice good. I don't know. That might be something I have to practice if I ever voice this again. I don't know. Probably not. That's true enough, you surmise. If you had an elixir of life-giving blood fall into your lap, you'd hardly be meeting with strangers either. Much less if it were relevant to your work as it is to his. You quickly scan the room of bottled potions, looking for anything else to ask about. Your eye is drawn to a particularly dark mix towards the back of the room. It seems to visibly churn with its glassy confines. You find yourself strangely mesmerised, its motion similar to those conical Kool-Aid candles that were all the rage some sweeps back. Oh no, not this. That dark violet bag, what type of brew is that one? No, absolutely not. How about a curative? I have some nice salves you might enjoy. Seems to be getting much more about out of him about that particular liquid. Best to move on then. You've no interest in receiving second aid or any other ordinals for that matter. Okay, so there is some backstory to that. I believe that black vial is called Takeaway. It's related to Cadlis's backstory, and it's kind of depressing. I'm not going to explain it here. You might want to do some research into it. He's got a. It's yeah. We'll learn more about it later, I guess. Well, not learn, but they mention it. Beyond the comfortably large space you are in, it's clear that there are several other connecting rooms branching out from this central hub. You know as much as the self-proclaimed Hermit allowed. I suppose I'm yet to give you a tour. What a terrible host I am. You gesture to the room to the left with a stairwell entrance. From the stairwell entrance. The path towards it has been increasingly littered with those potion flasks, plant life, and a number of other curios, whose origins you're not entirely sure you could name. To the left here is the herb room, where I cultivate all manner of greenery that takes my fancy. It's connected to the main lab area too. Before you can comment on the possible dangers of lab work underground, he's already moving on. With a slight motion of his arms, Hermit next indicates the opposing direction. To the right, my mid-split Marie's workshop. I'm sorry, another troll works down here. You decide to leave the Maze Spirit revelation alone for now. I'll go send your think man back to Headache City, population U. Why, Cicely, she lives down here, but you're jumping the gun a little. If you let me continue, lol. You roll your eyes, sighing. Seems he takes that as an invitation to resume. Marie and I have a room at the very back of this complex. Dia's room is to the right, opposite of our ablution facilities. Sometimes others stay. We try to be accommodating. I know it doesn't seem like much, but to us, it's home. Certainly an interesting choice of hive. It's well suited, you suppose, at least for what you've gleaned of Hermit thus far. And Dia, another bondmate. No, we look after her. She lost everything. There's an odd quiet that hangs in the air. Yeah, we can, that's, don't know if you see my cursor, but in the top left, you can see a portrait of Dia. And, Marielle. That's her full name, I think. And someone else. For the first time, you can hear the emptiness of the room, the way a plant rustles from an errant breeze, swept leafwards from some hard-to-see ventilation. The gap it leaves feels comforting, reassuring. It's clear that he doesn't want to go into it, though he continues to guard his own expressions. You can respect that, even if it's for a man who you're still not sure if it's friend or foe. Whether they're in tight cahoots with Noxious or not, lost his universe. That's very noble of you. Hermit tilts his head, but says nothing more. Perhaps another question is in order instead. Pardon me. Connection to Noxious. Yeah, that's what we want. You figure it's about time you got to the crux of things. The only reason you're here is apparently on the request of a mysterious figure, just known for unsolicited calls and sometimes having just a bit too much information. But just how Hermit is connected to him and the bigger plot remains an unknown. My biggest unanswered question in all of this is perhaps the most obvious. How do you know Noxious? As I said before, I am a seller of many things, to many people. To whom I sell, that is unimportant. As long as I can fund the work I believe he is doing, I will accept their loops. If you were aware, I could easily bring you in over these admissions alone. Black market dealings, while common, aren't exactly above the board. Above the board here is a turn of phrase referring to many corporate boards of directors, usually in charge of making decisions in these sort of cases. You doubt they would be forgiving. Oh, of course, Regulator. I would love to see you try. I have no intention of letting you separate me and my work. He grabs a nearby orange potion and seemingly downs it in a single, threatening gulp, but you can't be swayed by such blasé intimidation. Perhaps unfortunately for me, I have little information. Noxious is notorious for taking what he needs from you. A pickpocketer of particulars. Someone in the shadows, trading goods and information, silhouetted, staying low. I've traded with him myself, but it's unamounted to little more than this conversation with you outside of these deals. Okay, so this doesn't come up again, but I think that might come up again in Noxious's eventual route when Volume 11. Maybe he has something. I don't know. That might be something we may want to remember. Great, this feels like another dead end. Literal in a string of mutated waterfowl beast chasers that has led you no closer to the mysterious puppet master tugging you along. It was guided you to some interesting confrontations. A new advisor and a collection of youths and you would protect with your life is like the tasty morsels of progress insight you were hoping for. Your eyes furrow as you pinch the bridge of your nose, collapsing into what you were hoping is a chair of some description. You allow yourself a moment to compose your thoughts. Some nearby vials idly clink against each other and the ringing sound causing you to wince. Bringing Hermit in would certainly give you some closure, but you can't help shaking that he is currently your best link to Noxious himself. And, though you hate how it gets you into the pit of your chest, the man is clearly responsible for the well-being of many people. Some immediate, some through his highly questionable work. For every poison there is a cure. You are quite an enigma, Hermit. He gives a showy bow in return, smiling a long grin. I do try my best. Everyone wears masks, Cecily. Even yourself. They're so good at hiding those pesky feelings we don't want others to see. If you'll indulge me, I have a question of my own, lol. Should we bring back those we have lost? All at once you can feel your own mask slip, for just the briefest of seconds, the slightest widening of your eyes, letting loose 10 sweeps worth of remorse in a single controlled motion. Can he tell? It's hard to say. Right now his mask holds up better than yours. For the time you spent examining and scrutinizing Oshis' work, you never once considered the immediate applications, the possible ramifications, the potential it could bring. And here Hermit himself is toiling away, in parallel, on a concoction he believes could do the very same. You could be with her again, couldn't you? Tap tap, tap tap, tap tap, tap tap. You start to tap at your palms again. What could you say if you could see that glowing face again? If you had the choice, would you bring her back? The part of you that aches over her threatens to make the decision for you. There's a lot of good people who could do with that blood. There's a lot of bad as well. Like any mixture, it depends on what you add to it. What you feed it. You've seen for yourself those husks that wander above. I, like many others, want to see this broken world healed. To patch up the scars, the pain, to undo the hurt. It's almost imperceptible, but you catch it, the slight twitch of his cheek, a crack in the disguise. But I'm not alone in this ambition, lol. There are others who seek alternative methods of retribution. One of them chooses to face those forces head-on and enact his own brand of justice. I don't think he cares much for my destructive tendencies, but, well, if you can handle my concoctions. There's a name for him on the shadow web. Ashbringer. For someone quite so adept with that mechanical arm of his, he's no closer to stopping the scourge than I. Maybe you should pay him a visit. You have a pretty good idea of who he's referencing. I do. There's a hint of threat in that last line, and your mind instantly considers that this is a mission from Hermit that Noxious may have plans for the so-called Ashbringer. I appreciate the heads up. I'm sure you'll understand that I intend to keep this place on my radar regardless. Naturally, Cecily. You're welcome to my tame stock whenever you please. I'm sure we can work out a deal. The very thought of being limited to the paltry dregs of this arsenal gets you scoff approval. Surely if I were going into battle, I'd require your strongest potions. You could not handle my strongest potions, Regulator! You almost brush off his accusations as some strange joke, but on second glance it becomes clear that his anger is real. He allows himself a moment to exhale before loosening his fists. Strength in the hands of those who believe themselves fit to wield it. It can be a curse. It can cause immense pain. I reiterate to you, Regulator. Should we bring back those we have lost? Should we? I too know how it feels, that in some part they are not here. Do we assume responsibility for it? That weighs on you. It weighs on your skin. Sometimes, life is simply unfair. The breath you had been holding for the past minute finally escapes your lips. You touch a hand to your arm, tracing skin that is lined with reminders of the way you throw yourself into his profession. The recollection of a blade plunged beside the blood push of a bronze-blooded troll, and the information you made them take, same as all the others. All you do for her. The mask is finally slipped away. Before you stand someone who's suffered great loss, and in knowing that hardship, he seeks out to rescue others from a similar fate. You have a feeling Dia is in good hands. At times like this, it seems like the only solace you have is in the most eternal of places. When I find myself questioning why I keep going, or in the moments where I dole out retribution, I have a ritual, so I undertake to reaffirm to myself why I do what I do. You raise your hands with your head, and begin to recite the well-trodden oath. I, Cecily Iopara, do on this day make a promise. This I pledge to any maker, or to the souls who lie beyond, that what we do for them, for those we have lost. We will send them as many as needed to avenge them. You let out your words settle in the air. That's the second bout of proselytizing you've done in many weeks. This one, however, feels slightly more honest than a spur-of-the-moment preaching to some children of the corn. I pledge to any maker, or souls who lie beyond, that what we do for them. For those we have lost, we'll send as many as needed to avenge them. This I say, and bite the All-Mother with my name. Catalyst Rancor. Oh ho, what a touching sentiment. I trust that's another secret you'll keep nice and hidden from me, no? Don't answer that. I already know you will. Well, maybe you don't completely understand him, but Callus has at least earned some of your respect, and he hasn't killed you yet, which is something you consider to be a sign of a good person. You give a brief farewell, one short wave to the Cypress-blooded troll, and a nod and a smile to the young troll in the hallway, curiously peeking into the cacophony. Climbing back up to the stairs, you give a vocal command asking YBS to call up Orica. Sissy, so good to see you from you again, Glance Nuggets. I need Necron's whereabouts. Think you can track him down? And that is it for Volume 6. Oh, look at him. So yeah, next volume... Okay, I remember. The next volume is going to be very interesting because both of the routes are very different in seeing aspects of Cecily. So Volume 7 of Bounties and Botany will be back next Friday, where we will meet these two, the aforementioned Necron, also known as Ashbringer, and this big man. So, thanks for watching and listening to me read again, if you did, I guess. And I will see you next time. Bye-bye.